Lords of the Fallen just got its first major patch. We also have the discussion around some potential downgrades as well if you want to downgrade your patch. We also have some early game XP farms that you could do to help your playthrough, as well as my kind of overall discussion with my play experience on the PC. We got a lot to talk about. What's up, World Stripper? Back in the river, checking on all things Lords of the Fallen. Okay, so let's just jump right into the patch notes. This is patch 1.1.91. Now there is a lot of changes here, from balancing bosses, visuals, performance. There's even some photo mode updates. There's as well as a feature being removed, and we'll go over that discussion here in a bit. Now for balancing, they did have some weapon changes and modifiers. The Bringers of Stillness and Scarlet Shadows have had their damage output of their 2 gap closing attacks reduced by not being so punishing when attacking from their own shadow. The Charged Shadows also got slightly nerfed and their damage output slightly nerfed as well. Walking Corpses have also had their charge attack damage reduced from 1.18 to 0.8. They said this was attributed to the animations not properly reflecting the damage of the hit, so this was adjusted slightly for readability. There were some other things with hitboxes and some environmental elements not playing or doing damage properly. And for the boss section, and just for spoiler section territory, I won't go over the actual names of these kind of significant bosses. Now both of these were kind of actually buffed to these bosses, as they were doing actions and combinations that were kind of interrupting each other, as well as another one not having correct pathing and just giving a more efficient space, kind of tweaking the area so that they could move more freely. For the visuals, it does look like they had some optimizations done for certain armor sets, as well as some nanite meshes fixed on the 3D gallery backgrounds. Those are being incorrectly animated, creating white dot artifacts. Now they do have a performance section here, but it's only for a specific ability that had a lingering VFX that would keep active for longer than intended. It would essentially kind of hinder performance if abused. However, more so, this is probably not your performance issues. For audio, it seems that Umbral Stigmas now have a nicer audio sound for their activation and deactivation, so possibly something slightly less annoying or irritating. There was a PvP section here, albeit only one single fix. They essentially deactivated the ability to parry other players' kicks to allow an additional option when you find a very good parrier. Definitely is an odd change there. I'm not sure if I like it. It seems like to be more of a streamlined parry, or at least they seem like they're nerfing that ability to do that. And if someone's good at something, I think they should mechanically keep it there. However, I'm not typically a melee user. I typically like to have the range combat or even magic if there is an option. So I'd like to hear the melee users kind of take on that, if you think this is a good change or a bad one. Now there is a massive PC performance fix section here. I've definitely had some performance issues on PC. I will say it has been running a little bit rough. However, nowhere near what I was experiencing with Starfield and some other games, but it definitely isn't performing for me as what I would expect it of, or at least with DLSS especially. Now they did attribute something here saying that the non-updated drivers were actually significantly hindering the UE5 performance. However, I did test this on my favorite driver, which is the 516 branch and the 520 branch, alongside the 537 brand new driver. I did not notice any significant performance increases or decreases. It was nearly the same. So maybe they do mean the older branches like the 400 series branch. Yeah, you should probably be at least on the 500 series branches. That way you're up to date there with that. Other than that, they do mention AMD and NVIDIA. Can only test with my NVIDIA system, so I currently don't know about AMD. Now there was a major issue with frame generation stability, and so they've actually disabled this entirely. They've disabled frame generation entirely from the game. Another thing I noticed is that I don't think there was the option to enable frame generation with FSR, which is what I was really trying to test and wanted to use. I couldn't notice if frame generation was on, and the option was grayed out under NVIDIA. Of course, because I have a 2070, so I don't have one of the newer GPUs, so I can't actually enable frame generation with NVIDIA. However, I really wanted to try this, as this would have been my first game with frame generation with FSR. However, it didn't look like there was an option there, and they only mentioned NVIDIA here, so it seems like the NVIDIA option for frame generation was disabled. Either way, it does seem like they've entirely disabled the frame generation feature for the 40 series GPUs. And with that, I will add here, there is actually a way to downgrade your game if you do want to play on the older version and you do want to play with frame generation still. Now, seemingly this is only available for, again, the PC version. All you need to do is hit Windows R on your keyboard or open up the Run program, and then type this command, Steam Open Console. Steam will automatically open. It's going to put up a little blank screen, kind of like a command console. And you're typing this little command here, download depot, and then this long number. I'm going to have this down in the description down below, so you can just copy and paste that into the actual Steam command console. I'll also link this page and Reddit page where I found this comment on, so you can see that it's legit and all the upvotes, so you don't have to take my word for it. But yeah, that will actually appropriately downgrade your game to the latest and previous patch. I actually did this with Starfield when my DLSS mod and other things were crashing the game. I just completely downgraded to the previous version because I was using even the engine tweaks and all that stuff for the stealth overhaul. So yeah, if you do want to downgrade your game and you want to just go to the lower end version, you could do it this way. There was also some unidentified GPU crashes that they fixed here with some fail-safe stuff. I didn't actually experience any crashes with the game at all in my like 10-12 hour playthrough so far. However, I did have those significant performance issues that only seemed to kind of worsen with certain boss fights. There was another fix here for crashing after the first cinematic, and yeah, I had some crazy wild performance with the cinematic. However, this was, to be fair, this was completely before and in the preview builds what I had access to, so I couldn't test that with the new patch. Maybe I will to see if the cinematics are fixed there. However, yeah, I kind of take this to akin to what happened during the Hogwarts Legacy beginning cinematics where it was very choppy frame rate. I had that same issue here with Lords of the Fallen on the first boot up, however, it only happened with this cutscene for me, and that was even on the preview builds, so yeah, it definitely was only an issue with that significant one. It seems like it probably was a shader cache issue initializing. Now, PS5 actually didn't get any platform changes specific to it. However, Xbox did. They fixed an issue loading low LODs for the Xbox Series X, and now the Steam Deck has a virtual keyboard that you can use. Overall, a pretty decent patch. It seemed like they have a pretty big significant portion for the PC performance. I have read some comments on the Reddit as well as also on YouTube. People are experiencing performance issues on the Xbox and the PS5. Hopefully those things can be sorted out and are fixed over the next coming days and weeks. The game does offer some really cool mechanics with the two-world thing and kind of like going into this Umbral world. I think that might be attributed to some of the performance issue. It is a lot of cool tech going on in this game, and it is a lot of fun. However, I will say from a magic perspective and me wanting to play a magic class, I don't think magic is in the right state that it should be. If you're playing Pyric right now, it's probably going to be really rough for you early on in this game. And the reason being is that you don't regenerate the magic portion or the magic kind of mana that you need to cast your spells and do things from range. I think even with Elden Ring, I never really needed to go close for melee, and most of the time I had plenty of mana and magic in order to kind of take on a scenario. And if anything, I could go back to rest places and regain my mana fully and kind of take on what I do next. Unfortunately, with this game, the mana gems are finite. This is one of the major critiques I have with the game, as I'm kind of going to be done with my magic playthrough, as it doesn't feel very fun to have to constantly go into melee range. I've also downed a significant amount of bosses, and I've had a decently long playthrough with exploration, and I have yet to find one magic item. There has been some new spells, however, with mana management and even speccing fully into Inferno, I do feel quite gimped there. However, I might take use of this, although I never did an Elden Ring. I kind of just wanted a vanilla playthrough. There is actually an insanely easy and early XP farm that this guy posted, and it's a smaller channel, and from some of these comments, this guy is pretty well known for farming and doing some really cool stuff, so be sure to check out this channel if you want an early XP farm. But that should about cover for today's video. If you like it, subscribe, and it's the next one. Deuces.